Welcome back to Outside View Scandals. Today we're diving into one of the ancient world's juiciest conspiracies, the assassination of Philip II of Macedon. You know, the father of Alexander the Great, right? Yeah, that guy. Now, when most people think of ancient history, they imagine heroic battles, epic speeches, and of course, questionable family dynamics. But what's often overlooked is how even back then, people were just as good at scandal and conspiracy as they are today. So let's set the scene. It's 336 BCE. Philip II of Macedon, after years of battles, marriages, oh yeah, there were a few of those, and the occasional brutal political maneuver, was finally at the top of his game. He had united most of Greece under his rule and was preparing for the ultimate conquest, a campaign against the mighty Persian Empire. Things couldn't be going better for him, or could they? Because in the middle of all this success, Philip gets assassinated, and not on some battlefield, but at a wedding banquet. That's right, at his own daughter's wedding. I mean, if you're going to go out, might as well do in style, right? The assassin? Pausanias of Orestes, one of Philip's bodyguards. Now, I know what you're thinking. If your own bodyguard kills you, you probably should have picked a better one. But that is where the story gets quite interesting. See, this wasn't just a random act of violence. Pausanias had a personal vendetta against Philip. Apparently, he had been wronged by another Macedonian noble and felt Philip hadn't done enough to defend his honor. So, naturally, the solution to this is to stab the king to death at a wedding. Makes perfect sense, right? But here's where things get murky. Many historians, both ancient and modern, argue that there's no way Pausanias acted alone. I mean, how convenient is that? Right after Philip dies, his son Alexander just happens to be in the perfect position to take over. And let's not forget, Alexander's mother, Olympias, Philip's fourth wife, mind you, was not exactly the most peaceful person around. In fact, she is one of the top suspects in the whole thing. Legend has it, she even ordered Pausanias to carry out the assassination and then, as if to make a point, had Pausanias hunted down and killed. Talk about tying up loose ends. But hey, who wouldn't want their teenage son to become king of Macedon and then go on to conquer the known world? It's called good parenting, right? Then there's the theory that the assassination was part of a wider conspiracy involving some of Philip's own generals and political rivals. You know, the kind of people who would rather see Alexander on the throne than deal with another decade of Philip's iron-fisted rule. Let's be honest, Philip was no saint. He had made plenty of enemies, even within his own court. And what better way to resolve political differences in ancient Macedonia than with a bit of good old-fashioned regicide? Of course, the official line from Alexander's camp was that Pausanias acted alone, out of personal grievance. Sure, sounds plausible. But you've got to wonder how a lone bodyguard manages to stab one of the most powerful men in the world at a highly public event and not get immediately stopped. I mean, it's almost as if someone wanted him to succeed. Now, one of the more tantalizing theories is that it was in fact the Persians who orchestrated the assassination. Think about it. Philip was about to launch a full-scale invasion of Persia, and they weren't exactly thrilled about that. What better way to slow things down than by taking out the guy in charge? Classic geopolitical strategy. If the Persians did have a hand in it, they must have been pretty satisfied with their work. At least until Alexander came knocking on their door a few years later with an army twice as fierce as his father's. Oops. But despite all the theories, the truth is we'll probably never know who really ordered the hit on Philip. Was it a family feud, a political coup, foreign interference, or just an angry bodyguard with a grudge? Maybe all of that? One thing's for sure, though, Philip's death changed the course of history. Without it, there's a good chance Alexander would never have become the great conqueror we know today. And honestly, would ancient history even be the same without Alexander? It's quite hard to imagine. But let's not forget, the biggest winners in all of this were the gossip mongers of the ancient world. Imagine the rumors flying around the royal court after Philip's assassination. I mean, that is some premium scandal material right there. And just like any good scandal, the more questions you ask, the more confusing it all becomes. Who really stood to gain from Philip's death? How much did Alexander know? And was Olympias really as ruthless as they say? These are questions that historians have debated for centuries and will probably keep debating for centuries more. But if there's one lesson we can take from all this, it's that power, politics, and betrayal go hand in hand. Whether you're in ancient Macedonia or modern-day politics, some things just never change. So, thanks for watching Outside View Scandals, and remember, the more things change, the more they stay the same, especially when it comes to scandal. Until next time, and the next video is right here in the end screen.